right. Any objection? There being none. Adopted.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Minority Leader, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President, another question, another anterior amendment, but I preface it with questions for proper information. Are there on page 4, lines 1, 2, and 3 refers to the establishment and maintenance of regional fire laboratories and research and testing facilities complete with equipment for this purpose. Do we have to have regional testing centers? Can we not just have one laboratory and research and testing facility to be maintained in the head office, just like the crime laboratories of the Philippine National Police? They are nationally based so that there's only one crime laboratory. But here, we are establishing regional fire laboratory and research and testing facilities. Again, from the point of view of the budget, is this really necessary? Or can this function not be performed by one national fire laboratory and research and testing facility?
Mr. President, it is their dream. That is why when we say modernization, we hope that every region is up to the task. If
Yes.
these requirements can be addressed at the regional level, then so much the better.
Yes, but you know, Mr. President, we can achieve modernization with reasonable expenses. We are not a rich country which is oozing with resources. We are not objecting to a laboratory and research and testing facility. The Philippine National Police has a national crime, a testing, how do you call it? Crime laboratory. But there's only one. We do not maintain regional crimes offices because with this can be used as a basis for establishing all kinds of regional offices. I mean, all kinds of laboratory you have. How many regions in this country? 15? Do we need 15 or 18 regional fire laboratories?
Perhaps, may I volunteer a point of information also, no? That will have the two perspectives. Presently, perhaps what you should do instead of regional would be, what do you call this, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Because, area, because that is the problem now of the Philippine National Police and the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. When there are interceptions of illegal drugs, say in Sultan Kudarat, they have to bring it to, like what happened to Cebu, the Cebu airport. They had to bring it over to Manila to test the quantity or the quality of the seized drugs. They seized 10 kilos in the Cebu airport. When it reached the laboratory in Manila, it became 10 kilos of gaw-gaw. So
Yes.
that is the reason for must be a proximity of laboratories in the different areas na medyo malapit at para hindi nangyayari yung centralized masyado. Pag centralized, doon nagkakaroon ng delikado.
Mr.
Majority
President.
Leader?
Yeah, Mr. President, may I just interject as well to maybe assist probably on a little information. During our discussions of the ease of doing business, I remember some of our private sector members during the TWG were actually complaining ang matagal pong pag-release ng laboratory findings, kaya natatagalan po sila mag-collect ng insurance claims. So and the complaint was the laboratory findings would take very long. So it's a good possibility, Mr. President, or a good compromise kung meron pong Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao para mapabilis po yung laboratory findings after a fire. But I agree with the Senate Minority Floor Leader, having 15 or 6, I think we're 16 regions now. I think may not be feasible. But maybe island, geographic areas of the Philippines probably would be a bit more acceptable to our minority floor leader. Please raise
Minority
his hand.
Leader, yes?
Yes,
you come.
Mr. President, I therefore would propose an amendment so that we can revise, we can amend line 1 to say instead of regional, we can say establish and maintain fire laboratory and research and testing facilities, complete equipment, for one for the Visayas, one for Luzon, one for the Visayas, one for Mindanao, or subject to style.
I agree, Mr. President.
The Senator Lacson is recognized.
Mr. President, with the indulgence of the minority leader, how about insert the phrase subject to availability of funds? So it will not also preempt the Bureau of Fire to establish regional laboratories in the future if they have the available funds. Because if we limit it to Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and and funds become available, then they're restricted.
No, Mr. President, from the point of view of the budget and efficiencies of the bureaucracy and take into account the size of our bureaucracy, I think subject to availability of funds, I can assure you, funds will be available. So the best way is to limit the discretion. 3 area research facilities, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Anyway, Mr. President,
Right, you accept the proposal. It is now proposed by the minority leader to adopt the proposal of the presiding officer.
What can I do, Mr. President? The proposal was very well thought of, and even majority of us will agree to that. So I
Okay.
accept, Mr. President.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, adopted. Still on page 4.
Just for clarification, Mr. President,
Ah.
today we only have one laboratory.
Wala yata eh.
Wala tayong laboratory. We have no laboratory.
Meron ba?
Merong
Meron din,
one
ano?
ngayon dito sa Luzon.
So isa lang. So
oh.
far, isa lang laboratory.
Isa lang.
So
Alright.
from 1 to 3 is a good development.
Yeah.
The improvement.
Maybe in Visayas,
It's
it's
already enough
Good enough. Yeah.
of modernizing.
All right. Any other amendment on page 4?